200 years. Our acknowledgement of the full history of the tribe and our commitment to be good stewards of those ancestral lands is an expression of gratitude and appreciation to those ancestors who came before us. We give thanks to the generous care with which the Anishinaabe and those members of the Saginaw Chippewa Indian Tribe of Michigan have given and continue to give to this land in our community. And now for the roll call. Commissioner Bush? Here. Commissioner Chapman?
Here.
Commissioner Ake?
Here.
Commissioner Rollins?
Here.
Commissioner Wingard?
Here.
Vice Mayor Alsager and Mayor Perschbacher are absent. In the absence of the mayor and vice mayor, I will now take nominations for a chair for this evening's meeting.
I would like to nominate Maureen Ike.
Second.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Ake, you can resume the meeting.
Okay. We do not have proclamations and presentations today. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? Hearing none, we will accept, what do I do?
Vote for the.
Hearing none, I would like a motion to accept the agenda as provided.
I move.
Second.
All in favor of accepting the agenda as provided, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? None. The agenda has been accepted. Okay. Now we come to public inputs on the agenda items. Is there anyone here who would like to make public input on the agenda item? Anyone on Zoom? Okay. We do not have public input on agenda items. Now we go to receipt of petitions and communications. City Manager, please go.
Receipt of petitions and communications includes the monthly report on police-related citizen complaints received.
Excellent. Consent items. Does anyone want to remove or add to the consent items? Commissioners? No? Hearing none. City Manager, please read the consent items.
Consent items this evening includes approval of the minutes from the regular meeting held February 26, 2024, receive city requests for Saginaw Chippewa Indian Tribe 2% allocations, and consider approval of payrolls and warrants.
Thank you. I'd like a motion to accept the consent items as presented.
I move we accept the consent items as presented. A second.
All in favor of accepting the consent items as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Any opposition? Hearing no opposition, we will accept the consent items as presented. Now we move to public hearing. We have no public hearing. New business. City Manager, please.
So the first item of new business is consider Michigan Department of Transportation resolution and consider and contract for the rehabilitation of taxiway A at the Mount Pleasant Municipal Airport. So this evening, for this item, as well as the two below it, we are going to have our airport manager, Bill Brickner. He's going to provide a presentation on these items. And then after that presentation, he'll be able to answer any questions related to any of these three items. At the end of that presentation, and once all of the questions have been asked and answered, we're asking that the City Commission go through each individual item and go ahead and make a motion to approve all of these one by one. So.
As Aaron said, I'm Bill Brickner. I'm the airport manager. Do a brief video before we do the presentation. It's not playing on the screen.
Accessibility for personal aviation, corporate, military, and entertainer flights. Located in mid-Michigan, the airport features 24-hour professional on-call service, heated and non-heated hangars, tug services, and fuel for both piston and turbine aircraft. The terminal is equipped with a mediated pilot's lounge and meeting room. And once you land, ground transportation is available via rental car or shuttle, with pilots having access to an airport courtesy vehicle. The Mount Pleasant Municipal Airport, making it easy to meet here in mid-Michigan.
Thank you. The Mount Pleasant Airport is a gateway to approximately $7 million annually coming into the community. This is done by the corporate aircraft that may be coming in for retail or manufacturing. This is done by the basketball teams flying in. This is done by agricultural as well. So we have a lot of crop dusters that work out of there. In the spring, they will fertilize wheat fields. They will spray cornfields with fungicide, mosquito spraying. They'll actually plant wheat in the fall. We also have some corporate seed companies that come in. We have a lot of general aviation aircraft that come in, utilize the courtesy car to go into town, again, bringing some of that commerce in. We have a fair amount of entertainers that come in to visit the casino. And in order to facilitate all that coming in, we need to offer services. Some of the services, obviously, that we offer is fuel. We have both turbine and piston aircraft fuel. We have tug services, so we can pull planes in and out of the hangars. Whether the temperature is really warm or really cold, we need to get them out of inclement weather, we can move them in there. We do a lot of services with medevac helicopters, patient transfers. We do a lot of services with state police. For example, when the active shooter was on CMU's campus several years ago, there were 2 state police helicopters that worked out of the airport the majority of the day. Again, when we had some flooding a few years later in that June, we had the state police helicopters around again looking to make sure roads were safe. And then again, when the Edenville Dam broke, same kind of thing. We had the state police helicopters working out of there. We do a lot of after hours and weekend services, mostly because the corporate air traffic does not live on an 8 to 4:30 schedule. So we do approximately 120 call out services a year. We have Enterprise Rental Car in town that brings cars right to the airport. They deliver more than 100 to us every year. We keep those services going so that we can bring that commerce in. The other things that we need to do is make sure that the airport is safe. So we have over 35 acres of asphalt out there that we have to plow every time it snows. The difference between us and the street department is we can't use salt out there. So we basically have to scrape it down to the pavement. And if we still have contaminant out there, we have to broom it off. If we do happen to get ice buildup, we have to work at it a lot with the broom to get it up. There is a chemical that we could put on it, but it's $5,000 per application. Since 2016, since I've been out there, we've not had to use it, luckily. But we still have the same pavement maintenance that they have to do. So we have to do crack seal, we have to do pavement markings. We have 320 lights that surround the runways and taxiways. 100 acres of mowing that we have to do out there. We have 32 T hangars that we maintain. We have a corporate hangar that we maintain, terminal building, 1 rental unit, and 1 snow maintenance building that we maintain. We do a lot of our own maintenance on a lot of our own equipment. So we're usually pretty busy out there. We facilitate all that. So for our 27 based aircraft, our 1 based jet aircraft, annually we get between 200 and 300 jets, 100 helicopters, and 52 general aviation aircraft. And that's where the majority of the commerce comes from. What you have before you tonight are 3 contracts, 1 with the state of Michigan, 1 with Crawford Contracting, and 1 with Mead and Hunt. That goes to the Taxiway A rehabilitation. And this has been a project already. In the planning phases of this, we were notified that the FAA had an advisory circular that came out that actually changed some of the parameters that we were working with after we already had a budget for this project. The parameters that they changed on us, if you look kind of midfield there, there's two taxiways that lead out to the runway, and they're kind of in a V shape. The parameter that we could not have was you could not go directly from the ramp to the runway without making a 90-degree turn. The other parameter was I have to have a 90-degree intersection anytime a taxiway comes up to a runway, which basically made us do a redesign and eliminate the two V taxiways. We were going to put in one connector. Originally, that changed our budget, and we removed the lighting from this project in order to facilitate doing all the pavement at one time. Somehow, the state found some additional discretionary funds so that we could add the lighting system back in. Once that was done, we submitted the plans. They came back to us and said, oh, hey, your taxiways are 35 feet, and the new requirement is 25 feet. So they wanted to narrow the taxiways up by 10 feet. Had that happened, we would have lost approximately half of our corporate aircraft that come through there, just because of the narrowness. We talked with MDOT Aero and the FAA quite a bit about our particular situation, the fact that the design plans were already done prior to them coming out with that new revision, and we were basically grandfathered in to keep our taxiways the same width that they are right now. So, like I said, it's been an interesting project already. The total cost of the project is just under $3 million. The federal grants, 2.69, with discretionary funding being 2.2 of that. The discretionary funding, I'll get into funding a little bit later. The state grant portion of it is $149,000. The local share, which is our share, is $149,000. We saw this project coming 5 years in advance. We do our CIP planning through the airport for 5 years in advance, and asked for several small disbursements from the Saginaw Chippewa Indian Tribe of 2% grants. And we have enough 2% grant money to cover our local share of this project. The way that our AIP works is we have $150,000 a year granted to us by the feds. We can roll that over for 3 years, so we have $450,000 that we can do a project with, which is where that discretionary funding came in. We worked with MDOT quite a bit in order to procure some of that additional discretionary funding for a project this size. What I have up here is our ALP. Basically, it's the beginning phases of our capital improvement planning. If it does not show up on the ALP, it's not eligible for federal funds. So we have to keep this document, which is a multi-page document, up to date. And we meet with MDOT Bureau of Aeronautics every year to go over our capital improvement planning. The next large project that's going to be coming up in the not so distant future, maybe 3 years, is the runway project. It's going to be similar in scope and cost on this, and we are moving ahead with the 2% requests again for meeting the local match. So the contracts that you have before you, the state contract is basically stating that they have X amount of funds available to us to do this project, and we agree to their grant assurances by taking that money. The Crawford Contracting is the contractor on the project, and Mead and Hunt will be taking care of the engineering services on that project. Are there any questions?
Commissioners, I actually have one.
Yes.
Out of curiosity, what are your future plans for this airport?
As far as, we are currently kicking off a feasibility study to answer questions just like that. To know what's available to us, what we can do. So we are investigating that, and in hopefully short order, I will be able to answer that question.
Okay, good, excellent. All right, commissioners, any comments? No, no questions? Looks like we're happy.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up.
So we would first then need a motion to approve the resolution, and the MDOT contract would be the first one that we'll need.
I move to approve the resolution and MDOT contract 2024 through 2028 and authorize the city manager to digitally sign the contract and FAA certifications.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor of approving the contract as indicated, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, the contract has been, or resolution has been made to approve the contract. Okay,
Perfect.
next.
Next one will be the motion to approve the contract with Mead and Hunt for their engineering services.
Okay, we need a motion.
I motion to approve the contract with Mead and Hunt, project number 4069200-221451.05 for $277,258 for engineering and project management services for the taxiway A rehabilitation, installation of edge lighting, and construct midfield connector project at the Mount Pleasant Municipal Airport, and authorize the city manager to sign the contract.
Second,
Second.
all in favor of approving the contract as signified, as indicated, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, the contract has been approved.
Thank you.
And finally,
And the last one is the contract with Crawford Contracting for the construction on this project.
I motion to approve the contract with Crawford Contracting for $2,712,410 for construction of the taxiway A rehabilitation, installation of edge lighting, and construct midfield connector project at the Mount Pleasant Municipal Airport, and authorize the city manager to sign the contract.
it is second.
Second.
All in favor of approving the contract as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Any opposition? Are there any opposition? Hearing none, the contract has been approved as provided. Okay. All right, okay. Announcements on city-related issues and new business. Okay, Commissioner Bush.
This coming weekend will be Mount Pleasant High School presents Beauty and the Beast. They always do an amazing job. We are extremely lucky here in Mount Pleasant. The musicals at Mount Pleasant High School are excellent, but this one is going to be extra special because it will probably be the last musical directed by a teacher at Mount Pleasant High School who's one of our most senior Mount Pleasant Public Schools. Oh, yeah, was that what your senior Mount Pleasant Public Schools employees, John Clack. And that was also going to be, Boomer has brought up here, the tickets can be bought on a website, ludus.com, the fine arts. Yeah, I didn't have the exact artist. It's mpfinearts.ludus.com. Or you can call the office, or hopefully it's on the high school website. But at any rate, it's John Clack's last musical, Beauty and the Beast, and it's going to be remarkable. And tickets are, I believe, only $10, and you can't miss it. It's so good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more? Okay, excellent. Public comment on agenda and non-agenda items. This is the last one. Anyone on Zoom? Nobody on Zoom. Okay. Since there's nobody on Zoom and we do not have a work session, I would appreciate a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
Yeah, anyone? All right, so all those in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Hearing no opposition, we are adjourned at 6:07. Oh, yeah.
7:20.
7:20. Oh,
Nice.
wow.